issue, which is a true story, and I paid every single year, I pay me income tax, not the land tax. And then somebody was telling me, say, it don't matter, because you're not down there to clean up the place and thing. If somebody...
Yes, because you have a right, you have a duty. You know, because owning land or having land is not enough, because the starting point is that you don't really own land.
Well, that means I pay
land belongs to the government, so the government conveys an interest to you and say, listen, Neville, take care of the land and pay your taxes. But you have been only doing one thing, which is paying your taxes. That is not enough.
But so if somebody bought the land, I paid for it, and I'm paying my property tax. What else I need to do to tell everybody?
Well, you need to possess it. Because we gave, so government is saying, you know, we gave you the land to possess it, take care of it, be a good steward and ensure that there is nothing, it's not becoming a nuisance to society. So if somebody else goes in and is taking care of the property, then by all means,
and build up something.
Yes,
I can't go and a man tell me I must move from him gate when it's my land.
Well, and what you have become is a title or a paper owner.
Yes.
So the title is in your name, but you're not really possessing the land. And so the squatter now has a right through the doctrine of what we call adverse possession.
Yes, sir.
Explain that one.
No, adverse possession is pretty much where a squatter or an individual goes, illegally occupies land, and after certain years, in Jamaica 12 years, you can claim the property, but you must actually possess it and pay taxes. So you paying taxes is not enough. This person is actually paying taxes, excluding the world. What do I mean by that? So maybe he or she run a fence around the property, you know, and it doesn't matter who comes. You are saying it belongs to me. So you as the rightful owner may very well go there and give notice and say, listen, get off my place. And say, listen, man, go on with your business. Because not even the notice is sufficient. You need to ensure that you institute legal proceedings to recover the premises.
Let me ask you this though, right? I would kind of taking it for granted that people watching understands what the legal definition is of capture land. Is it that same thing that you're talking about?
Same thing.
Adverse possession.
Same thing. Capture land. But there is a little difference with respect to privately owned land and government land.
Give us the difference.
So for private property, like your property never, 12 years would be considered sufficient to, you know, mature in a claim in adverse possession, meaning after 12 years, you can very well claim the land to be yours. But if we're talking about government-owned land here, you have to wait until 60 years. 60 years, because guess what? We know government is not so, you know, efficient. Or put another way, government doesn't have the time to be policing, you know, land. And so you have to give them enough time until they realize. But for you, you have a duty as owner to ensure that you keep your property in good condition.
Final question on my story. What if the person who took over the land, built on it, cleaning up, putting fence around it, me paying property tax, but he or she is not? Is still them one?
Well, the truth is, it's because it depends on the time. And so what will happen is that you'll have to go to court, because paying taxes is very important, but paying taxes on either side, whether you or the squatter, that is not enough. And if it is that I am actually taking good care of the property, I am, you know, and I am refuting your interest, because many times you have people paying taxes because they hear that, you know, you can pay tax and just get the place. That is not the case. So in that particular situation, the court may very well have to determine whether or not you are still the owner, or whether the ownership has passed to this person.
But Mr. Shaw, I buy the land, I have the title, I pay property tax, and I go down there and a man on my land who is not paying property tax, and because him on the land for 12 years, him can't tell me so much to go on my yard?
Well, and it's... You see, English law is about possessing land. And so it is really the person who is in possession with other things. So because we have a lot of land in Jamaica where, you know, it has become a nuisance, harboring criminals, you know, wild animals. simply because people buy land and just have the land sitting idly. And so the law really does not want that to happen. And so it's really by virtue of that why we have this doctrine of adverse possession.